The same rules of safe sex apply, but are definitely more stringent when high-risk fluids are involved, such as blood. I can't like stress that enough. Some behaviors, such as like blood play, are by definition higher risk behaviors than vanilla sex, often depending on what kind of vanilla sex you're having. So I also want to say invest some money in accessories because there is often a difference in quality unless you steal it, which I encourage. And also, oh, how did I forget that? Don't keep your partner's hands above their heads for more than 30 minutes. They'll faint, probably.
Oh.
So, yeah, because
Very specific tip.
it's a real tip. Like, if you are like, that's important, I thought. So I added it. And that's essentially the end of my presentation, but we can keep on talking. getwebtv@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Old Lesbian Sex Book by Felice Newman. Back to the conversation.
This actually directly relates to what I was saying before with the example of floggers, but like, for example, there's a lot of different kinds of rope or things that you can use. You don't even have to use rope, but like for example, you could use ties if you have ties, like actual like bow tie kind of ties. Like there's lots of different things that you can use for that, but also like people who haven't done it before, like reverse tension is what keeps it there. And so when you're actually like tying it around someone, if you just wrap around and leave it there, it's not going to work. If you want to actually keep it there, it's important to like do some kind of reverse tension, which you could do by tying it to something else or holding onto it or whatever. There's lots of different ways to do that. But one thing that's really important is to make sure is to like, if for example, if you're tying up someone's hands, check their hands, touch them. If they start to get even a little bit cold, loosen it up or take it off. Because a lot of times, if you're working like a specific part of their body when they're tied up, they may not notice what's going on with their hands. So they may not be paying attention to the fact that they're starting to feel a little cold or they're starting to get little prickles or something. And that's another thing that has to be communicated a lot, is like the feeling of how it is or something like that.
You want to spend a little bit of money. You want to put a little bit of money into it, only because like there's a difference between like the things you can find around your house and like things that you actually intentionally purchase. Half an inch of, I find that you want to be working, if you're going to be using rope, at least a half-inch thick is a good amount of thickness, because it doesn't cut directly into the skin. I also think like it's really important to be aware of your partner's like physical limitations in general, and just like really talk about those before you get involved in any sort of sex. But yeah,
Nylon is particularly good because it's very soft and it actually feels good. So you can use it for other things too. Like you can use it for even like sensation play stuff. But yeah, just.
Or you can make your own flogger.
that's true.
You can make your own flogger.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and
nylon
like I know some people who made floggers out of like those really soft scarves. And it's just for a sensation thing. Like, yeah, and it's
I
just
just
a
never-
sensation thing, and you can just, and it's not obviously like meant to be like a whipping thing or anything, but just to sort of play around with that. And also a lot of things like that, a lot of the like domination that's going on is mental, and so it doesn't actually have to hurt. Like there are also like there's rabbit fur ones that tickle. That's not any kind of like pain, sadism kind of thing, but it's a domination thing, and you can have control over the way that someone's feeling in that moment, and it can be a very different experience and a very interesting thing to go through.
When we think about BDSM and consent, I think also it's hard a lot of times to be, in terms of having conversations about how like the power play that just is happening in your relationship, because you're two human beings, is interacting with the power play happening in your bedroom, and how like you can both be like totally consenting to what's going on, and it can still be like super unhealthy. And like you can just, you can both be getting off on beating the crap out of each other, but if you're beating the crap out of each other because you hate each other, like, I don't know, that's just like something that I feel like.
Thanks, Deacon. That's an important point. That's an important point.
So I recently found these two books called The New Book of Topping and The New Book of Bottoming, and they're written by Dossie Easton and Janet Hardy. Hardy. They're phenomenal books, and they're like really good, sort of like really in-depth explorations about like topping and bottoming, and also just in general like BDSM safety and stuff like that. I highly recommend checking them out.
What are they called again?
The new book of topping and the new book of bottoming. It's like 2 different ones. They cover a lot of the same ground, and I actually like I don't know. I feel like I learned a lot about being a bottom from reading the topping one, if that makes sense. So like, I think that they're both really good books to read, like whatever you identify as.
All right, so that now is what the lovely director, Helix Horowitz, is saying. Let's give a hearty round of thanks to our director, Helix Horowitz. Mel Moringon at camera 2. And the lovely, also Jersey, Ray Ortiz, producing. And we'll have a more simple website name to come in the near future. Please look out for the PDFs that we'll be putting up because I am a PDF lover. I love PDF sex and sex PDFs. So, yeah, if you want to read what I'm reading, go to my website.